sound so ready.
Hello everyone.
Hey.
I'm Tony.
And I'm Tally.
And we are the Lazy Book Lovers. This is a podcast for book lovers who procrastinate about reading and have never-ending TBR piles. Today's episode is all about Cosy Fantasy Recs. And I will preface this by saying we have talked about most of these books in recent months already because we're on the Cosy Fantasy hype. But now we're just doing a complete list on them and it's on purpose.
Yeah.
Enjoy. I'm gonna keep the whole I'm ready thing.
Yeah, that was actually good.
Because I'd started recording.
I think our giggling introduction won't make sense on this week. Tony has a blog post. It came out last night.
Yeah, I forgot when it was coming out.
And so I will link that, and it has like 30 I think, books that she has discovered.
Yeah, that was a bunch of different lists, and then like from the internet, and then I went through a few TikToks and sort of squished them all together again, like I've done for a few others.
I went through and I picked 18 out that I want
basically
to talk about.
Your favourites.
Yeah. The ones that I've either read or have on my TBR.
Mm-hmm.
And I realised how much apparently I'm into Cosy Fantasy. I feel like Cosy Fantasy and Monster Erotica are very close. For no reason whatsoever.
Just vibes.
It's just the vibes.
It's just the vibe.
So, Legends and Lattes, which I recently spoke about in a wrap-up. Did I talk about this one? Yes, I did. Yeah. In whichever the most recent wrap-up was. Prior to this one.
I don't know if it's come out for them yet. In this timeline.
The timeline, the multiverse. So Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I would say this is the book
that started the
gave
genre. Yeah.
the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that another book that is on this list was actually the daddy of Cosy Fantasy. But Legends and Lattes is the one that gave it that subgenre.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, and how could you not?
Define the genre.
Oh no, I was just going to talk about Legends and Lattes. But the genre, it's a very weird one, isn't it? I guess it's just fantasy that it gives you that cosy feeling. Usually it's
not
like
high stakes, yeah.
Yeah. So like the tagline for Legends and Lattes is high fantasy, low stakes. And I think that does sum it up very well. I think it's like something that the characters are fun. It's
fun. He's got fairies and dragons and shit, but no one's dying. No one's making you cry.
Yeah, and it just gives you like a hot chocolate Christmas vibe.
Yeah.
That's the
like,
only way I can describe
reading by a rainy window with a coffee and a book, like.
Yeah, or maybe like something that your parents would read to you, kind of thing. Even though they're not all gonna fall under that, but yeah. So Legends and Lattes is the first in the what is now going to be a universe of books by Travis Baldree. Travis Baldree is a audiobook narrator, so he narrates the audiobook for this, so I do recommend the audio as well. So
I think I've got it in my wish list.
Yeah, probably. You have to use a credit on Audible though.
Oh no.
So it follows Viv, who is a orc, and it's like D&D world. This one, and she has been saving up all of her money and her whatever as she's been doing all of her questing. She's been like an orc for hire, and she is now ready to retire from that. And she spends all that money opening up a coffee shop in a city of Thun. And so coffee shops are I'm going to say goblin invention.
Yeah, I remember you saying goblin.
And she comes across it on one of her quests and she falls in love with it. So she picks this particular town for a reason, which you discover throughout the book. She sets up a coffee shop in an old livery and it's just cute. She hires a mouse to be the baker and he bakes. It's really, really kitsch in that you might not like it if you don't know this particular thing, but so like they put ice in it and they discover iced lattes.
Yeah.
And the mouse bakes like this dough with cinnamon, and they discover cinnamon worlds. You know, like
so
these.
I love shit like that. Like, I'm such adorable. A sucker for things like that.
And they want people to be able to take their coffees home, so they basically invent the takeaway coffee, and it's really cute. And if you don't like that, you won't like this book. It's sugary, it's sweet, it's adorable.
Makes you do a little like squeeze.
Yeah, and she hires a succubus who wants to like just be understood for who she is instead of the fact that she's a succubus, and it's sapphic and it's cute, and everyone should read it. Next on the list is one that I have on my Kindle at the moment. It's a Kindle Unlimited book, actually, I believe, at the moment. Or it might have been taken out of Kindle Unlimited now. But I do have an e-copy. Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca
This is
Farr.
one of the ones I was like, I really want to read this one as well.
Yeah, I'm so excited to read it. So this is the first in the Tomes and Tea series. The second one comes out... Is it out now? No, I think it comes out in a couple of months though. It's called A Pirate's Life for Tea is the second one.
Oh, I don't know. It was definitely on one of the lists I looked at.
Yeah, it might be out. I don't know if Storygraph tells you the dates of when they come out. I know like Goodreads does. But it's either out or is coming out soon. So this follows two ladies who want to open a bookshop that also serves tea. What's not to love? One of them's a mage, and one of them is a guard for the queen, like a private guard for the queen. And an assassin takes one of them hostage, and it's about like getting her girlfriend free from the assassin. It's a sapphic book, so they can set up their bookshop with tea. And who doesn't want to set up a bookshop with their friends that serves coffee or tea?
That's like one of my dreams.
Exactly.
Do you remember when I had that really vivid dream that I did make a coffee/bookstore? And it was so real, and I was so happy in this dream. And I woke up and I was like, I don't even know how to begin to make that reality.
Yeah, and like now I'm heartbroken because it's not reality.
I know.
But I really want to open up a little independent bookshop with a coffee shop, and we're open a little bit later on the high street. And you can come in, and there's also books you can borrow and read while you're sitting and having coffee.
Clubs, and it'd be like a safe space.
Yeah, and we can have like people come and read their poetry, and there's also a big horror selection, and that is my dream.
We'll do it together. We'll play our podcast over the speakers.
We'll record it live in store, and people can come and watch.
Oh my god, I want that feature.
I know.
I could do all the marketing, so could you.
And my children could just spend time in the coffee.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about like childcare. Manifest. Message us on Instagram if you'd come to our bookstore.
We could have little like baby groups in there, so mums can come and just have a hot coffee and chat to other mums. And there'll be loads of cake.
We can have like LGBTQ like safe space sessions as well.
Next on the list is pretty much anything by TJ Klune.
Yes, that was the name I saw a lot when I was making this.
Specifically House in the Cerulean Sea, which we have discussed before on this podcast. We actually discussed it recently in like a kind of hot-ish takes.
Yes, I was trying to think where I remembered it from.
What's that episode called? Beta read sensitivity and beta readers are important.
Yes.
Or something like that. So I was sent the most recent book by the publisher. One of his most recent books. And I'm so excited because I've been reading his books as audio, and I'm meeting him. Yeah, and now I've got a physical book I can take to get him to sign in May. I'm so excited. So
your influencer #life.
#influencer. The House in the Cerulean Sea follows Linus, who is a caseworker for the Department of Magical Youth. It's kind of like a social services. And he is a gentleman who does not question... That was my belly, yeah. I don't know if you'll pick that up. That was my belly, it was grumbling. He does not question his work. He does what he's told, you know. He's a drudgeon.
Just get the job done.
Yeah.
Do what I'm paid to do.
And he gets sent to so his job is he goes to foster homes, orphanages, and where magical children are, and he works out if they're following the government rules or not, blah blah blah. And he gets sent to one where there's 6 of the most dangerous magical children in the world, including one of them who is the son of the devil. And he is sent there to find out if the orphanage should still be run or if it should be closed down. And it is very adamant from the beginning that the government branch he works for believes it should be closed down. And whilst he's there, he meets Arthur Parnassus, who is the guy that runs it. And it's got found family. It's got a love story between Linus and Arthur. Cute. The children are so cute. So there's like the son of the devil. There's a garden gnome. There's an alien.
Oh, that sounds so cute.
I
don't know what I pictured, but that's not what I had in my head that it was about. I don't think we ever discussed what it was actually about, like the actual plot.
Not, no. And you know, like the town that they're like on the outskirts of a town, and the local town don't like it because it's dangerous creatures, and love it.
That sounds very cute.
Do we need to pause? Or are we okay?
No, we're good at the moment. I'm poised and ready.
Yeah.
Caffeine is imminent.
Next is the first in the Mead Mishaps series. So That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. I've got this on my KU. I've not read it yet, but I did read the Christmas novella when it came out, the Mistletoe one. So these are cozy fantasy with smut. Maybe that's why I've got the
connection.
Same. Yeah, because it's cozy fantasy with monster smut. What's not to love?
I've found my new niche.
And it's Kimberly Lemming. So I just love the names for her books.
So caffeine has arrived. The drinks have ice in. We are very sorry if you hear the ice.
Just think of it as cozy fantasy.
Yeah,
ice.
It's part of the vibe.
It's part of Legends and Lattes. I've got a cinnamon.
I've got a blondie.
You've got a blondie. We've got iced coffee.
We're all cozy. Got a cozy bean bag. We're on the vibe.
We're just living the vibe.
Drink every time we say the word vibe during this episode. If you're
drink
over
with water.
Drink responsibly, and if you're over 18 or 21, depending where you're from.
We should be doing that in these episodes. We should be reminding people to drink water.
Drink your water.
The titles of the Mead Mishaps books, I love them.
Bloody love them.
So That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, Mistletoe, which is like a novella in the series. That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf, and That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. I think I
wanted to read them based on just the titles alone.
Yeah, and they're really cool covers. So the first one, That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, follows, I don't know what her name is, the main character, but she's like, all I want to do is live my life in peace, maybe get a cat, expand my spice farm, really anything that doesn't involve going on a quest where an orc might rip my face off. But as they say, the godless has favourites. If so, I'm clearly not one of them. And then she presumably gets drunk and saves a demon, and sex follows.
Sex times.
Sexy time.
They do the sex.
Okay, so the next one
is
an author I have discussed many a time for her horror works. However, she's a chameleon of genres. T. Kingfisher.
See, when I was putting the list together, I was like, This is another name that sounds so familiar. Because to the point where a lot of these names were so familiar, I had to message Natty to be like, did we already do this? Or am I like hallucinating? No, it's an author you like, but for a different genre.
Yeah, and I've been meaning to try this one because I love her horror stuff. I love her cosmic horror stuff. I'm sure I will love Cosy Fantasy from her.
Is this the creepy spaceship author?
She did the one that was a retelling of the House of Usher.
Oh, right, yeah.
I recently read the one where they went through the hole in the shop wall and it was like,
Yep.
She just loves a bit of crazy. What else? I've read more by her, I think. So the Hollow Places is the one where they go through the shop wall. The Twisted Ones. Do you remember me talking about that one? What Moves the Dead is the House of Usher retelling. And then also on my list, so one I do have on my TBR to read in April. I've not read it yet, but Nettle and Bone. So that's like just a standard fantasy book. She also has a book called Paladin. It's a series, Paladin's Grace and Paladin's Hope, and there's another one, and that's like a epic fantasy series. And then she has Sword Heart, which is a cozy fantasy, and Thornhedge, which I think is also a cozy fantasy. So she is just...
Is she a full-time writer? She a full-time writer, do you know?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
and she's just an absolute genre chameleon.
Yeah. You go, girl.
So this particular book is called A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. And this follows 14-year-old Mona, who isn't like the wizards charged with defending a city. She can't control lightning or speak to water. Her familiar is a sourdough starter, and the cover of the book has a little gingerbread man on it, a little angry gingerbread man holding a sword. And her magic only works on bread. She has a comfortable life in her aunt's bakery making gingerbread man dance, but her life is turned upside down when she finds a dead body on the bakery floor. There's an assassin stalking the streets, preying on magic folk, and it appears that Mona is his next victim, or next target. So it just sounds really fun.
I'm definitely picturing, you know, like the gingerbread man from Shrek? But with a sword.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
Next on the list is a group of graphic novels, and I've discussed them for the Tea Dragon Society.
Yep.
By Kay O'Neill, and these are so adorable. So they're about just a fantasy world, and there's little dragons, and they grow leaves that you use to make tea. So they grow them like on their heads and stuff.
I want a tea dragon.
I want that to be my life.
I'd love to have a little dragon that makes tea.
And
we put them in cute outfits.
And they like kind of like they're like companions to people. So they kind of just they pick someone and you have to look after them kind of thing, and they're really cute. And the characters in the books are, most of them, there are humans, but most of them are like hybrid characters. It's very queer, it's beautiful, just Next on the list is one I've spoken about before a few times, maybe, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon.
Yes, you have.
It's so cute. Obviously it's a cozy fantasy list. So this follows Heart, who is a marshal, and Mercy, who is a undertaker, and they live in a world where, like, when you die, your spirits physically come out of your body, and some of them come out corrupted, and they will kill you, I guess is the best way to say it. So Heart is a marshal who hunts down the corrupted spirits and basically puts them back where they should be, and Mercy is an undertaker who, if someone dies, they go, if they've nominated her, because you have to nominate an undertaker in this world, because what's the word I'm looking for?
Ritual ceremony?
Thank you, that is the exact word. A ritual needs to be done to your body to protect your spirit.
Yeah.
And they hate each other. They hate each other so much from the moment they clapped eyes on each other. They have hated each other.
It's on.
And one day Hart decides to write a letter to a friend and he sends it off, and the little male people in this are demons that are now male people. So like one's a rabbit and stuff. And the letter ends up to Mercy and she writes back and they become pen pals without ever knowing who each other are.
Of course.
And there's some quite good spice in this as well. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Do a lot of them have spice? Or is it like a mix?
A mix.
I'm wondering if that's a feature of the genre or no. Just a bonus.
Yeah, I think it's just... Who doesn't want to read it?
Like, a cute fantasy story with a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The next one is on my list. So I don't know if I discussed it on the podcast, but when I say recently, it was like December, which is still kind of recent.
Recently, everything is recent.
Yeah, I mean,
whenever you say like the other day, that could be yesterday or 6 months ago.
Yeah, and like in this book that I'm currently reading, it's set in 2019, and I'm like, oh, that's so recent. But in like December, I found out about this thing which is called the Sci-Fi Fantasy Blog Off Spiffbo, and basically yearly, this man who runs a blog who loves indie authors started like a competition between indie authors of fantasy and sci-fi genres, and now it's huge. It's like their 8th. I think it runs May to April,
right?
So they're just finishing up their 8th year of it, and basically anyone can submit their work. It just has to be something that's not been traditionally published, and then it gets whittled down to 300, and then all of them get read. There's like 30 people who then whittle it down to so many and so many and so many, and this next book is on the 10 finalists for this year, and I want to read all the 10 finalists. So this is on my list of what I want to read. It's called Miss Percy's Pocket Guide to the Care and Feeding of British Dragons by Quimby Olsen.
This looked really cute when I was looking it up.
I love books that have long titles as well.
Yeah, I want to bring that back.
Yeah, I think in Cosy Fantasy they're all like that. One that's not on your list, actually, that should be on your list is, that I haven't read yet, but I think will be on your list, is the Olivia Wilde... No, not Olivia Wilde, that's that actress, isn't it? Something Wilde's Care for...
is that not on the full list?
It might be, and I missed it.
That feels really familiar.
Encyclopedia of Fairies?
I think there was ones, if it didn't appear on multiple lists, I didn't include it.
But yeah, maybe that should go on this list as well. So this is going to be a series of books. The Miss Percy Guide. Yeah. Miss Mildred Percy inherits a dragon. But we've already got ahead of ourselves. Miss Mildred Percy is a spinster. She does not dance. She has long stopped dreaming, and she certainly does not have adventures. That is until her great uncle has the audacity to leave her an inheritance, one that includes a dragon egg. So, yeah, it's cute. There's a romance between her and a local vicar, I believe, and it's cute fantasy. It's cozy fantasy.
Wondering if that... the indie book with the dragon, would that maybe fall under this or no? The indie book with both Albion. Flames of Albion.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that would fall under this.
Definitely. We'll add that to the list.
The only thing I've got with Wilde in the name, by the way, there's a Psalm of Wilde Built by Becky Chambers.
No.
Oh no, that's not how you say psalm. That's the only one I've got with Wilde in the title. So I might have missed that one.
Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think that should be on the list. I'm going to add it on. So everything I'm talking about today is available on a Storygraph tag list. So I will link that if I remember. If not, just
look up.
Go on to my Storygraph and look at my tags, and you'll find it. It's a public.
Yeah, your Storygraph is always in our card, isn't it?
Yeah, both of ours are on there. So yeah, between like now and when this episode comes out, there might be more added to it that we consider or whatever. Or I might do all of Tony's list. I just picked out the ones I wanted to talk about. So next is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. And this is on my list of books I want to read. And it's a middle grade one, which caught my attention.
You like a middle grade?
I do enjoy a middle grade, yeah. So this follows a town who every year they leave a baby out as an offering for the witch in the forest. And they hope that the sacrifice will stop her from terrorising the town. And if I remember correctly, she doesn't terrorise the town. And every year she finds a baby and is like, why do they keep putting babies out? So she looks after them.
Bloody weird humans.
Yeah, they just keep chucking babies in the forest. And she nourishes the babies with starlight, and she takes them through the forest and delivers them to a new home. And one night she accidentally gives this particular baby moonlight instead of starlight, which gives the baby magic. So she decides to keep this baby as her own. She calls her Luna, obviously. Oh. And she decides to keep her, and there's baby dragons, I believe, as well. And that's all you need to know, really, isn't it? Dragons. Like, see, I think the reason Cosy Fantasy appeals to me so much is that it doesn't necessarily have to have a plot. And we all know I like vibes, not plot.
Just vibes and sort of people existing. Or like slice of life.
I love slice of life. That's
or just it kind of wanders.
I really love like manga and anime films that are just slice of life. I know they don't appeal to everyone, but for me, I love them.
My friend who lives in Japan and reads a lot of like Japanese and sort of Asian fiction, she says a lot of that stuff is just slice of life kind of things.
Yeah,
like a snapshot. There's no real end or conclusion.
No, it's just I just want to see a little
vision of the story ends, but the story isn't ended.
No, I just want to see a snippet of someone's life.
Yeah,
just, even like I like a manga that's like just a visual mundane. I don't know, I just like it. It just, I think it's part of that romanticising your life.
Yeah, romanticising everyday life. Yeah.
Also, Tony's friends, because we're not going to do names. Please give me some recommendations. Next is one I haven't read. It's on my shelf. Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. So, you Brando Sando fans, you're very weird about the potential spoilers of his secret project, so I don't really want to talk about this. And I don't know much about it, but it's about a young lady called Tress. She lives on an island, and she goes on a voyage across the Emerald Sea, and I believe that's all I'm going to say about it. Yeah,
does he have fierce fans?
Yeah, and so he has the Secret Projects, which is a series of, I think it's 4 books. So just for context, I was under the impression I'd never read anything by Brandon Sanderson, even though I know I will love them, so there's no reason for me not to have read them. But I actually realised not that long ago that I have read 2 short stories by him quite a while ago, but I have all of these Secret Project books on pre-order because I've decided this is where I'm going to go into Brandon Sanderson.
This is going to be your starting point.
So they are technically part of the Cosmere, but you can start at these. I asked a Brandon Sanderson fan from our Discord.
I'm surprised I've never read anything of his, because you would think, me being a fantasy bitch.
He's not very... This is the thing, like, he has vast fans, they're very fierce and loyal, but he's not very well known. And there was actually recently a interview done with him. He's not had many interviews. There was an interview done with him, I can't remember the publication, and the interviewee was disgraceful, like absolutely disgraceful,
but just not very respectful.
Yeah, the way he portrayed Brandon Sanderson was disgusting. So he was basically like, Brandon Sanderson has probably not been interviewed because he's boring and stuff like this. So Brandon Sanderson is a billionaire. He is
a huge author. If you actually look, how many books he's got out.
He is the most prolific author that's probably still writing beyond like Stephen King.
Who's not using, like, not that Stephen King does what? Who's the other one who puts out loads of books? Obviously he's using ghostwriters, yeah.
And he is so good to his fans. Like, Brandon Sanderson has a YouTube channel. I watch his YouTube channel. Like, this is a thing. I don't know how I haven't read his books yet. But I watch his YouTube channel, and he does loads of stuff to help writers. He does workshops to help writers. So a lot of the... Not to go into it too much, Brandon Sanderson is a Mormon. And so... At the start of his career, he did make a lot of questionable comments on gay marriage and queer people existing in general due to his Mormon indoctrination.
Yeah.
Because religio people, you're indoctrinating your children. However, he now has said that he has opened his mind more. He now, in between the time that when he started his career to now, he has many friends outside of the Mormon church. He has a different opinion on it now. Whilst he acknowledges that it does not, in his religion does not agree with the marriage of gay people. He himself does not have a problem with gay people existing and getting married because it doesn't affect him. So he has come out and said, yes, he said things in the past. Yeah. Now he feels a different way.
Wasn't the start of his career like 20 years ago?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so some people still hold it against him and say he's homophobic, but he has since said, I do not feel that way anymore.
Well, it's like what we were talking about in the beta one. Like, if you can say, I've learned more, I know better now, I'm not that person, and then you don't continue to say those comments, and you continue with this new outlook, you know, then maybe we let stuff from 20 years ago go.
Yeah. And he in the Cosmere, which is a very vast series of books, he has some queer characters, and I haven't read it, but apparently they're very well written. So, yeah. So he had this journalist come and stay at his house. He's got like a ranch with his family because they're Mormon, they're quite a large family. And the person came and stayed at his house. Brandon and his family took him to a local Chinese restaurant that he loves to go to, and they know him by name because they go there so often. He took him to the like an amusement park with his children and stuff. So he treated him really well. And this guy just wrote a really horrible interview about how boring he is. Like, he goes to the same Chinese restaurant all the time because he's boring. And
Was this like quite a young interviewer or something?
I don't know. But he was basically like, the interview was titled like Brandon Sanderson is your god or something like that, and it was like the most like famous author you don't know, or something. He was just really horrible. Like, people said really horrible things about the interview, obviously. But yeah, it's like booktubers I follow, and Brandon Sanderson has invited them to his house to come and meet him and like stay for workshop weekends and stuff.
That's
like
cute,
he's just so involved.
Just popping in an editing point to say that whilst Brandon Sanderson's opinions may have changed, obviously the fact that he is a millionaire means that a percentage of his wage goes to a church which actively works against people in the LGBT community. Just wanted to make that clear.
Anyway, I've gone completely off track. The Secret Projects are a series of books he did through Kickstarter. So he wants to step away from traditional publishing a bit more because he doesn't like the holds that they have on authors. Like, he's the one that's taken his books off Audible until they pay indie authors a better amount and blah blah blah. So the Secret Projects were a Kickstarter. The titles of the books have not been released. Anything about the books have not been released. The covers have not been released. So a lot of fans do not want to know anything about it until it physically arrives. And some fans actually say even though in the title is a spoiler.
Oh wow, okay.
Despite the fact that you can go on Waterstones and see all the titles, you can go on Amazon and see the titles, but some fans are very extreme
without seeing the title
because they've ordered it through the Kickstarter.
Oh, okay.
So it's just enabled Secret Project 1, Secret Project 2.
Okay.
So the second one's come out, and that's called The Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Survive in Medieval England.
I like the sound of that.
Sorry for spoilers. So yeah, I'm not going to go to it. But that was just little Brandon Sanson standing, despite I've not actually read anything about him.
You know what? I'd not heard of him until we started doing the
but-
podcast. Like, I think I'd like sort of obviously seen him around,
Yeah.
but I've not heard of him since still TikTok / the
I know,
podcast.
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
But his fans are so loyal.
yeah.
Okay, so next one is one I want to read. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, I think. And this is a fantasy romance about
My favourite genre.
about like an isolated. They're in Britain, and she has the chance to like take in some young witches and teach them, and it's like found family, and there's also a romance element, and
Cute.
that's all we need to know. It's cute. That's it. It's cute.
Yeah, do you know what that just reminded me of? Like, I saw a TikTok that was talking about, as a British like person, when you get to see like British ways of speaking in a book, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, it's like a British book with a British author, and it's like they talk how you talk, and it's not Americanized. I'm like, oh.
I feel like Cosy Fantasy is very British as well.
Mm.
So, not very British. The Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa. Natsukawa? Yeah. And Louise Henil Kawai is the translator. Apologies for all of that. Just all of that. So this is about a high school student who works in a secondhand bookstore that he inherited from his grandfather. And then a talking cat arrives called Tiger. And
talking cat.
he asks the teenager to help him save books. And away they go.
I love a talking cat. Talking dragons, talking cats, talking dog.
There was that talking cat in that book that was Cozy Mystery. I can't remember what it was called. I've spoken about it. I'll put the series on this list. And there was a talking cat in that, and it's about
I remember
a
the
book
one, they're
group,
in-
and they go
yeah.
into the book world.
Yeah.
Talking cats are just what's not to love.
We'll put that in the genre, talking animals.
Yes. Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wayne Jones. I did not know this was a book. Well, no, I did. I thought the book was based on the film, but it's not. The film is based on the book. So there we go.
This is one of the ones I've seen on someone that's gone back and classified as a Cosy Fantasy.
Yeah, because this was released in the 80s. Yeah, 86. Older than me. So for those of you who haven't seen the Studio Ghibli film,
I haven't. I know.
me and my son actually watched this the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is it sad?
I mean, all the Ghibli films have an element of sadness.
That's why I've not watched them.
But it's really cute. And it has a fire who talks, and he's called Calcifer. So when they're cooking, they chuck food down, and he goes, and gobbles it up.
That's cute.
So it follows a young girl called Sophie, and she is cursed, and she has her body transformed to an old lady. And to fix that, she has to make friends with a wizard or enchanter called Howl, who is known to be extremely heartless. And it says here, and his fire demon, which I guess is the one that's called Calcifer in the film. And he has a castle that moves, and she has to get there and win him over. Cute. And it's cute, and it's found family.
Like a bit of found family.
And as with everything that's Studio Ghibli, the food in it looks delicious.
Okay. That's good.
We recently watched Ponyo, but my son watched it and was like, no, it's called Ponyo. And I was like, well, yeah. And that's about a little, this is a tangent, that's about a little fish girl.
Yeah.
And she and all of her little sisters live underwater with her dad, who's like a sea demon or whatever. And one day she goes on a little swim, and she gets like near a coast, and this little boy scoops her out, and he names her Ponyo, and then when he has her in a little bucket and he looks after her and he feeds her ham and stuff, and she's like, because she has a little person face, even though she's a little fish. And then her dad's like trying to get her back because she shouldn't be there. And then he gets her back in the sea, and the boy's really sad because he lost her and he's heartbroken. He's like, she was my best friend and I loved her and she loved me, because even though she's a fish, she does talk. She says, I love you. And then she decides she's going to become a human to be with him. So she's like swimming off and she's like, I'm running away from home. And then she grows little legs and comes out the sea. And
see, I'm such a sap. That would make me cry.
It is really emotional. It's like Luca a little bit.
I've still not seen Luca.
I watch all these cute films with my son. And I watch them anyway, but now I also
have a
watch
good
them
reason.
with my son. Yeah. Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, the first in the Celestial Kingdom duology. This is based on Chinese mythology, and it follows every year in this town they sacrifice. What's it called? They sacrifice I don't know if it's specifically a young woman, but they sacrifice a person to the sea in the hope that the sea won't flood their town.
Okay.
And it follows a young girl who is like, I want to do a tribute. And then it just kind of goes from there.
That took a really long time to load.
I know. I don't know why. It just did. It's because as I was describing it, I was like, am I describing the wrong book? And I think I just did. I think I've just described the girl who fell into the sea.
Yeah, okay.
I think I just gave the wrong blurb. So I think that but that does sound like a good book. I've also got that on my shelf to read.
Read that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I can't tell you who it's by off the top of my head. Daughter of the Moon Goddess is not that myth. It's a different myth. They all like.
I knew something was going on because she looked so confused
as
the whole time
doing
you were
it,
talking.
I was like, I'm describing the wrong book, aren't I? This one is not about that. So this one.
Go on, I'm leaving you.
This one follows a young lady who is hidden from an emperor because the emperor exiled her mother for stealing his elixir of immortality. And then she is forced to flee her home. And she makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom. And she has to pretend she's not who she is because obviously her family's been exiled. And then she meets the prince and they sort of team up and romance. And yeah.
They team up and romance.
But yeah, both of them sound good. They came out at like the same time and have similar covers. And in my head, they just go together. So that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what we're going to say. But they both fit on this list, and you should read both of them. So.
Yeah, they'll both be on this list by the time you
who
can look
cares
at it.
anyway?
Yeah, whatever. Just got 2 for 1. The Starless Sea, Erin Morgenstern.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
very...
crazy. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, nah. And I was like, yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah.
I mean, they get lost in a magical library, and...
Yeah, and there's
lots of stuff happens,
and romance.
There's lots of symbolism.
And it's very literary and...
For the life of me, I could not tell you the plot.
And entirely plotless.
What is the actual blurb?
It's got a really big plot for a book that's quite plotless, hasn't it?
Like a lot happens, but I couldn't for the life of me tell it to you.
So let's do
What's
this.
the official blurb?
Zachary Ezra Rowlands is a graduate student in Vermont when he discovers a mysterious book hidden in the stacks. As he turns the pages, entranced by tales of lovelorn prisoners, key collectors and shameless acolytes, he reads something strange, a story from his own childhood. Bewildered by this inexplicable book and desperate to make sense of how his own life came to be recorded, Zachary uncovers a series of clues, a bee, a key and a sword that lead him to a masquerade party in New York, to a secret club and through a doorway to an ancient library hidden far below the surface of the earth. It goes into more, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah. A lot of stuff happens in this library beneath the earth.
Isn't there a talking animal that hangs out with Mirabelle?
I don't remember.
I feel like there's a talking cat. Maybe. Anyway, it's brilliant. It is what it is. It's fine.
It's a very good book. You'll be confused for most of it, but so is the main character, so that's fine.
Yeah, and there's no answer to it, so it's fine to leave it confused as well.
And it has different timelines that run parallel to each other, and there's like certain rooms in the library that are the parallel timelines right next door to each other.
And there's romance. I feel like romance is a staple.
Well, it has another queer romance as well. So maybe that's a feature of the genre too.
Yeah.
Just good vibes, you know?
There's nothing more cosy than romance, epic or mundane. Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. I discussed this in our traditionally published books I'm looking forward to. This is like a cottagecore YA.
It's probably another reason why everything was listed. I was like, I swear we've talked about it.
Yeah, I know. When I was putting it together, I was like, wait, is this just my list?
I was like, have we done this before?
Wait, am I a cozy fancy girly? So this follows a girl with magic. I don't know if she's a witch, but she's a girl with magic powers, and it's very powerful. And she can do. It's like reminiscent of what's her name from the scholar Deadly Education. Like, she's got powerful magic, and she can do bad things with it if she so chooses to. But she
doesn't want to be
works
bad.
hard not to do that. Yeah. So like at the beginning of the story, she touches her dad and it makes poisonous flowers bloom from him and stuff. So then she basically goes on like a quest to get a spell to be able to heal him. She goes along with her old best friend on the quest, and romance ensues.
Cute.
That's it. It's cute. Presumably. Becky Chambers, A Psalm for the Wild Built. This is from the Monk and Robot series. Monk. Yeah, I always say that wrong and then I always get told off. Monk.
Where have you even got that from? That's not even an accent thing.
I think it's just, I don't think I'd heard it before I read it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's always been monk.
Yeah, I've the word annihilation. I never heard that word aloud, and I read it in a book and I was like, annihilation. Yeah. And now I can't ever go, I have to physically correct it in my head before I say it.
I have so many words like that. I'm like, no. Remember, you know how to say this now.
No, you know. It's like when you read a fantasy book where they've got weird names and then you find out the way you read it in your head is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm like,
often I'm just like, blah.
Yeah.
Like Peter, blah.
Like that TikTok sound. I'm on the way to the town of...
Yeah, that's literally it. I recently read a book, which you will hear about next week in our reading wrap-up, where they had a very in-depth glossary at the back. Like, it was about 4 or 5 pages, but it didn't have how to pronounce the words.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but I need to know how to pronounce these words as well. Like, it's old English words. You're telling me what the words mean. That's great. But how the fuck do I say them?
Yeah.
No.
Especially old English, because, like, F's are different and stuff.
Yeah. I was like, okay, great. I know that this is a mound of a hill, but how the frick am I pronouncing this? Because I'm probably wrong. In A Psalm for the Wild Built, Becky Chambers' delightful new Monk and Robot series gives us hope for the future. It's been centuries since robots of Panga gained self-awareness and laid down their tools. Centuries since they wandered en masse into the wilderness, never to be seen again. Centuries since they faded into myth and urban legend. One day, a tea-monk is upended by the arrival of a robot, there to honour the old promise of checking in. The robot cannot go back until the question of what do people need is answered. But to answer that question, it depends on who you ask and how. And they're going to need to ask a lot. Yeah, so this is supposed to be really good. I've been wanting to read Becky Chambers for so long. She did that Wayfarer series, I think that's what it's called. And the first one's called A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, that series. I saw a 1-star review for this book went viral.
Yeah.
Because it was someone complaining that a robot has they them pronouns. And the author should just pick.
It's a robot. Of all the things to go and complain about.
The thing with genitals doesn't have pronouns that matches non-genitals. And I'm really upset about it.
I mean, whatever you gotta do to get through life, but shut up.
And these are the people that say other people are snowflakes and lose their rag over nothing. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I had to do it.
Which we've decided.
By Emily Wilde. No. By Heather Fawcett. And this is about a curmudgeonly professor. This is set in the UK, I believe, or in Britain. Who she journeys around to study fairy folklore and magic and and on the way she discovers friendship and love and it's gonna be a series.
Does she meet fairies?
Yes. Okay, so I saved the best one.
All right.
I saved the best one. I saved the one till last that I think is the daddy of Cosy Fantasy.
Okay.
And I think without this, we would not have Cosy Fantasy. Okay. Discworld.
Yeah. I was wondering
my
if that.
Terry Pratchett.
I think so. The Colour of Magic was on a lot of the lists I looked at, but I feel like a lot of Terry Pratchett could fit in the genre.
I just think Discworld as a whole.
Yeah, like all of the death books, most of the witches.
And
a lot of all of it.
And it's so British, and I think that's why Cosy Fantasy is British.
Yeah.
I mean, the Discworld just follows a world that's on the back of a giant turtle.
No, so it's a world standing on the back of 4 elephants that stand on the back of a giant star turtle.
Yeah, and it's just about the people that live there, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's like different series within the whole world. So I think there's about 50 of them total. I think by the time he passed away it was like 52 or 55 in total. But they're different collections kind of things. So you've got like the Commander Grimes ones, which are like detective ones but set in this fantasy setting. But a lot of that explores human rights type stuff. Like, there's one bit where there's golems who are, like, used as slaves, and it turns out the golems have real thoughts and feelings, and that gets discussed. There's, like, gender politics there's a dwarf who's a woman that has a beard. There's lots of little stuff like that. And then there's the Death series, which follows, like, a character who's literally death personified. And that does a lot of, like, big human concepts, like justice and, like, life and death and... a childlike innocence, and the Hogfather. There was ever a book that was Cosy Fantasy.
I've not read it. I've seen the.
You've seen the series?
Show, yeah.
A relative of mine was the producer on that series.
Really? Oh my god!
Like a second cousin.
That's so cool.
Because we got it before it came out on TV.
That's so cool.
And then you've got the Witches, which is it's different. It's still the same world. But the vibe, depending on who the main character is really different. Like, The Witches has such a different vibe.
Like the
and
Colour
the
of
Tiffany
Magic
Aching
and
series.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That one that follows.
That's the Wizards.
That's it, the Wizards.
That's not
really chaotic.
It's not the Rincewind ones, is it?
Yeah.
So there's Wizards, and then there's the Rincewind, who is a wizard within this world, and he's like a subgenre of the Wizards.
Yeah.
And he does look like he goes to like a pretend Australia at one point.
And there's Two Flower
He meets Conan the Barbarian, but he has a different name, and I've been told I've get this wrong before. I'm sure our editor is currently screaming again because we've got this wrong once before.
Every time, and we will continue to get it wrong.
We will not Google it.
No, we refuse.
I think that's all the subgenres, and then there's lots of little ones. There's like the Small Gods book, and that's to do with like gods in this world are like personifications of belief. So if you're a god and belief has kind of died out in you, you kind of like dwindle, but you're still around. So you were kind of just there. So like he was like a turtle god who kind of got like lost belief in, and now he's like this powerless turtle that keeps getting picked up by eagles, and like eagles trying to eat him, and he's like, oh my god.
I read when I was younger, I read a lot of his middle grade series, like the Diggers and stuff like that.
I don't know if that's Discworld.
No, that's not Discworld, but I read them, and they still are cozy fantasy, I would say. Yeah,
I feel like he'd have a good time with this genre if he was still alive.
Yeah. We Tony's read all of the Discworld. I am currently collecting them to read them. And we both have the most recent biography that was written.
Yes, which we were supposed to read. It was sent to us by very kind people.
Yeah. So towards the end of the year, we'll have to do another Terry Pratchett episode, because we have done one.
We did one kind of his life and stuff, but I don't think we really went into like summarising his work, so maybe we could do that.
So we'll do another one when I've read the Discworld, and then we will have some more anecdotes from the biography as well.
Yeah, so
it's kind of like an autobiography. Like he wrote it alongside the author of it, and then when he passed, the author finished it up. And
it's his assistant. So he had Alzheimer's, so for years he wasn't able to physically type anymore, so he dictated a lot of his books, and dictation isn't perfect, so then the assistant was helping to actually fix the dictations. Yeah. So I think it is the assistant who helped with that, which we were both supposed to read.
Well, we still...
I like that he looks over me now. So
yeah,
I read all 50 in my first year of uni. I haven't read the last 2 that came out before he passed away. The Tiffany Aching ones that came out. Yeah. I've not read those last 2 yet. I wanna, because then it's done.
I'm collecting those nice covers.
Yeah,
they're making me really happy.
I know. I really want more, because the only ones I've got are ones you've bought me over a series of birthdays.
Yeah, and then I had no clue what you had, so I just stopped buying them for you.
I know. I really need, like, near my birthday to make sure I upload a picture of my shelves. Just to...
Yeah, you do.
It was not just you. A bunch of my friends were zooming in on my Instagram pictures.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
So I just need to post really clear pictures of my shelves around my birthday.
Yeah, or just do like a Goodreads shelf with all of them.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
Yeah, because I'm trying to do it with mine.
I know, but like, what is down here?
Yeah,
because I don't know, especially that bit that's hidden behind the plants.
Well,
couldn't tell you. Haven't seen it in 3 years.
No, but then that will... Maybe you could get rid of something. No, who am I kidding? I'm just saying to you what other people say to me. That I always am like, shut up.
No, I mean, that shelf is all like my classic fantasies that I've collected that are like pretty covers, where they, back in the day when they used to just bind individually, like they used to get it bound themselves for their personal libraries, and now it's ended up in charity shops and ended up in my room.
And now in my little library.
Like, one up there, that's like, one of them is from 1902.
Yeah. So that's our Cosy Fantasy Recs.
Do you have any more that you think, after hearing that, you think could fit in?
Yeah.
This kind of new genre?
Yeah, or do any of them that I haven't read, should I prioritise them? Because I am reading at the moment. Depression's high. So
she's got the kind of depression that's productive for reading, so it's great for the podcast.
I'm just trying to get through my physical books now. I've had enough. I'm just like, right, I'm doing it. So yeah, if you go onto my story graph, which is in our card, there will be a link to my story graph. Go to the tags and there'll be one called Cosy Fantasy. You'll also see one called Smut Talk from our Smut Talk episode. I can't remember if there's any more, but just go look at it.
Morally Grey, I think we did on
Morally
your
Grey
account as well.
I've done a Morally Grey one yet, and as and when I have the energy, I'm going to do ones for like previous episodes. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok to encourage me to actually do some TikToks. You can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can find our website at lazybooklovers.wordpress.com. On there you can submit any suggestions for episodes, any suggestions for books you want us to read. If you're an indie author or you are a fan of indie books, submit any books you want us to talk about. You can also listen to our episodes wherever you listen to your podcast. Please do subscribe, like, share, everything like that helps us. Give it a little rating. We love to hear from you, and if you have followed us anywhere, please come say hello.
Yeah, come say hi.
And we will see you next week with a reading wrap-up of what we've been reading recently.
There's so many. We only just did one of these.
So we've already got to a point we need to do another one.
Hope you all have a great week. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.